Colbert has no talent. I mean, I could take anybody here. I could go outside in the beautiful streets and pick up a couple of people that do just as well or better. They get higher ratings than he did. He's got no talent. I don't know, but I would imagine because they get, you know, Colbert has better ratings than Kimmel or Fallon. You know that. I haven't heard that name in a long time. What happened? He got terminated?
Yeah. People would continue to recount the night Donald Trump stepped onto Stephen Colbert's stage, anticipating a simple triumph, only to find himself trapped in one of the most awkward sequences in the history of late-night TV. The atmosphere that evening inside the Ed Sullivan Theater felt different from the very beginning. There was a dense, electric tension in the air, something heavier than the usual excitement that comes with a high-profile guest. Even before the cameras rolled, there was a sense that this moment carried more weight than a typical late-night exchange. Behind the scenes, the production moved with unusual precision. Producers stood in tight groups, whispering rapidly into headsets, while camera operators adjusted their frames again and again, making sure no reaction would be missed. Every detail mattered. It wasn't just another segment meant to entertain. It felt like something closer to a clash, a long-anticipated encounter finally happening in real time. At the center of it all was Stephen Colbert. Calm, steady, and composed, he leaned over his desk, scanning his notes with quiet focus. For weeks, he and Trump had been circling each other from a distance. Colbert had used his platform to critique Trump's rhetoric with sharp, calculated humor, while Trump had responded publicly, dismissing Colbert as part of a failing media landscape. Now, the gap between them had disappeared. The empty chair across from Colbert sat waiting under the spotlight. When the doors opened, Trump entered to a wave of mixed reactions, cheers, boos, and uncertain laughter blending together into a chaotic sound. He walked confidently, smiling broadly and waving, projecting control as he crossed the stage. After a firm handshake, he took his seat, leaning forward slightly, as if ready to shape the conversation from the very start. The opening moments were predictable. They discussed the campaign trail, polling numbers, and Trump's ongoing frustrations with the media. The tone was measured.
All right, I'm gonna throw you up a big fat meatball for you to hit out of the park right now.
I like it. Good.
This is the last time you ever have to address this question if you hit the ball. Okay.
Go ahead.
Big old. There's like sauce all over my hands. This meatball is so big. Okay.
I want to hear this one.
Barack Obama, born in the United States. Go.
Let me just.
Was he?
It's all politics, no jokes. The room fell into a noticeable silence. The comment landed directly, and all attention shifted to Colbert. This was the moment everyone expected a sharp, cutting response. Instead, Colbert did something unexpected. He didn't interrupt. He simply listened. He nodded slowly, as if considering the point. That silence stretched just long enough to feel uncomfortable. Trump's expression flickered, the confidence softening for a brief second. "That's an interesting perspective," Colbert finally said, his tone calm and even. "So tonight, I decided to do something a little different." The audience leaned forward. Colbert turned toward the screen behind him. We went back and pulled a few clips. Trump adjusted in his seat, his posture tightening slightly. The first clip played.
Here's a partial list of what I missed. The government shutdown is headed into its third week. Trump fired more than 4,000 federal workers. The DOJ charged New York Attorney General Letitia James with fraud after Trump's pressure campaign. Trump sent troops to Chicago and Portland and is threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act. And Taylor Swift dropped her new album, The Life of a Showgirl.
Trump leaned forward, breaking the quiet. All right, he said, a hint of irritation now clear. "You can play clips all night long. It doesn't change anything. People know me." Colbert didn't challenge him. He didn't argue or push back. He simply gave a small shrug. "I didn't say it changed anything." The audience erupted. This time, the laughter was real and loud, a release after the long buildup. Trump attempted to regain control, speaking quickly about context and how situations evolve, but the momentum had already shifted. Each explanation seemed to deepen the contrast rather than resolve it. Colbert remained still, hands folded, letting the moment breathe. Then, with perfect timing, he delivered the closing line. "Sometimes, the funniest joke isn't something a comedian writes," he said quietly. "Sometimes, it's just letting people hear what someone has already said." The audience rose to their feet in a standing ovation. The energy in the room transformed completely. Trump forced a composed smile, but the tension in his posture was clear. He had entered expecting to control the narrative, but instead found himself caught in a situation shaped by silence rather than confrontation. As the segment ended and the music played, a calm, composed host and a visibly unsettled guest.
Well, let's talk about some other stuff you've talked about. For years, I played an over-the-top, like, conservative, character.
Yes.
Not as long as you did, but for many years. Figure out whether this was you or me saying these things. I apologize for being perfect.
That would be you, because I would never say a thing like that. Is that you?
That's very good. I think apologizing is a great thing, but you have to be wrong. I will absolutely apologize sometime, hopefully in the distant future, if I'm ever wrong.
That's me.
That is you. That is.
It was proof that sometimes the strongest response doesn't come from speaking louder, but from knowing exactly when not to speak at all. Ultimately, the takeaway wasn't about shouting or clever insults. It was a masterclass in how patience and well-timed silence